Mom notices little son is losing weight, learns new teacher takes his lunch every day. The front door creaked open as 10-year-old Johnny stepped inside carrying his backpack. "Hey there, honey." Johnny's mom, Amber, who was a single mother, greeted him with a warm smile. "How was school today?" "Fine, Mom. The usual. I have a lot of homework." Amber nodded, thinking her son had had just another long day at school, and followed him to gather his uniform to put for a wash. But as she watched Johnny take off his school shirt, Amber's smile quickly turned into a look of concern laced with horror. Johnny grew a little nervous, and his eyes darted for answers. Amber could see that worried look on his face, and fear was slowly taking over in her heart. "Johnny, is something bothering you, sweetie?" she asked. "Nothing, Mom. I'm fine," he said. "I don't know why I'm losing weight, but I'm sure it's nothing. I feel all right. Nothing to worry about." Amber could not quite put the finger on what was wrong with her son, and her eyes searched Johnny's face, hoping for reassurance that he was really okay. Deep inside, her motherly instincts told her something wasn't right. Amber drove to Johnny's school the following afternoon and waited until the children dispersed for lunch. Peering through the cafeteria window, Amber scanned the room anxiously, searching for Johnny. Amber's heart sank when she spotted her son sitting all alone at the table. Under normal circumstances, Amber would have expected to see her lively boy happily chatting with his friends and sharing his lunch with them. But for some reason, Johnny was isolated. She witnessed something troubling. Mr. Miller, Johnny's new physical education teacher, approached him and grabbed the sandwiches from his lunchbox. The very sight drove Amber mad. Unable to contain her anger, Amber stormed to the principal's office to report what she had just witnessed. The principal initially did not understand until Amber brought the issue to her notice. "I just saw him with my own eyes. Mr. Miller took my son's lunch. Just casually took it. I don't know for how long this has been going on," Amber said. "Mrs. Stewart, that is appalling. I sincerely apologize for what happened. Just a moment." The atmosphere turned tense as the principal immediately called Johnny and Mr. Miller for a quick meeting in her office. "All right, Johnny. Mr. Miller, please have a seat," Mrs. Franklin gestured. "There's an issue that has come to my attention, and I need an explanation from the both of you." Nervous and realizing he was caught in the act, Johnny decided to confess the truth. I wanted to find my biological mother," he said, bringing Amber's world to a colossal standstill. Amber's being was shattered to a million shards when she realized that Johnny had discovered the truth about his adoption when he found some adoption papers in her room, something she never wanted him to know until he came of age. "I see." Mrs. Franklin looked intently into Johnny's eyes. "That must have been a lot to take in, Johnny, but why did Mr. Miller take your lunch? What's the connection?" Johnny almost teared up at this point. "He was just trying to help me lose weight," he revealed. "Lose weight? What for?" The principal raised an eyebrow. "I started attending athletics training to attend a competition in the town where my biological mother lives. Everybody knows I'm bad at sports. I thought if I lost a little weight, it would be easier to qualify for the competition and find my mother. I had to come up with a reason to go there, and this was the perfect chance," Johnny added. Mr. Miller, who had been keeping his eyes downcast, jumped in his seat on hearing Johnny's true intentions. "I swear I didn't know about this, Mrs. Franklin." "I thought Johnny only wanted to improve his athletic performance. The boy is not a natural athlete. He came to me a few weeks ago, telling me he needed help with losing weight to join the athletic team in school. Looking at him, I did think he was a bit overweight, and I was just trying to help him. I didn't know he was up to something else." "Ridiculous. Are you really a teacher, Mr. Miller? Or perhaps you are a dietitian? You should have never agreed to help Johnny, not without fully understanding his intentions, and certainly not without consulting his mother." As soon as Johnny got home later that afternoon, Amber led him to the living room, her expression stern and her heart heavy with worry. Amber decided house arrest was the only option for Johnny. "No more games or friends after school, do you hear me? You are only allowed to go to school." But a heartbroken Johnny refused to give in. "This is so unfair. I deserve to know who my mother is," he argued. "I understand that you're curious, but you'll know everything once you grow up, Johnny. I promise," Amber said. "You're still young, and there are certain things you cannot fully understand yet." With wads of dollar bills in hand and his bio mother's address in his pocket, Johnny ran as fast as he could, his footsteps fading in the distance as he approached a truck driver at the local gas station around 20 minutes later. Excuse me, sir. I really need to get to the city nearby. I'll pay you $100 if you can take me there in your truck." The truck driver was surprised at the mention of $100. "Well, that's a lot of money, kid. Why do you need to get there so urgently? You alone?" Johnny was not in the spot to answer all of the man's questions, so he took out a $100 bill and showed it to him. "Here, take the money. I'm not playing tricks on you. Drop me at the city. I am going there to look for my mother." As the truck sped away from the gas station and rumbled down the highway, Johnny's heart started pounding. 3 hours passed, and Johnny's exhaustion caught up with him. Johnny cozied up on the seat and dozed off. The driver grabbed the money and hid it in his glove compartment while Johnny was fast asleep, unaware that he was being robbed. "Now I should get rid of this kid on the way," the driver muttered under his breath as he stepped on the gas pedal and sped away. When they arrived to a gas station, Johnny wanted to use the restroom. As soon as Johnny got out of the truck and headed toward the restroom, the truck driver started the engine and immediately drove away. Johnny walked back to the gas station and sat on the curb, tears welling up in his eyes. He was exhausted and hungry. An hour passed. Suddenly, Johnny woke up with a start when he felt a strange rumbling sensation and heard the honking of vehicles fading past him. When he opened his eyes, he realized he was lying in the back seat of his mom Amber's car and had no idea how he got there. "Mom? How did you find me? How did I get in here?" Johnny was startled. As it turned out, Amber followed her instincts and knew her son would be taking the only route that led to the city. When she happened to pass through the highway, she found Johnny at the bunk and had arrived on time just moments after he had passed out due to fatigue. An hour later, they arrived outside an unfamiliar house in the city, and the car came to an abrupt halt. "Where are we?" Johnny asked as he stepped out of the car and stared at the huge mansion nestled behind a colorful garden and a tree-lined porch. "This is your biological mother's house, Johnny," Amber said, gathering her broken heart while holding back her tears. It felt too good to be true. Johnny was overwhelmed with emotions as he turned to the house, a big, fat smile beaming on his face. Cupping his face on the French window, Johnny saw a woman building a dollhouse with 2 little girls in the living room. A middle-aged man was sitting on the couch, engrossed in reading a newspaper. His eyes grew moist as he turned to Amber. "Is that her? Is that my mom?" "Yes, that's her, Johnny. She's your mother, Kimberly," Amber whispered, unable to hold her tears back anymore. Meanwhile, Johnny took a deep breath and, mustering his courage, knocked on the door. "Miss Kimberly?" Johnny looked up at her with big, pleading eyes. "Hello there. Yes. How can I help you?" the woman replied, wondering who Johnny was. He immediately turned around and bolted outside the gate before the woman could question him further. "She doesn't even recognize me, Mom." Johnny burst into tears. "I thought she would want me back, but she has her own family now and has forgotten about me. Johnny, there's something I need to tell you. Years ago, your bio mom Kimberly and I were best friends. After she gave birth to you, her boyfriend left her, and Kimberly struggled alone. She asked me to take care of you while she found a job in the city. Months later, she met her future husband, who didn't want to raise another man's child. Your bio mom moved on with him, and I never heard from her again." "She never wanted me in the first place," Johnny said, snapping his tears away. "Not quite, sweetie." Amber tried comforting his broken heart. "Sometimes we adults are forced to make certain difficult decisions for the better. I guess it was God's wonderful plan that brought us together for a reason. So I adopted you. I will always love you like my own, dear, because I am your mother." Johnny felt like a storm had calmed down. He threw himself in Amber's arms and apologized for letting her down, promising never to do it again.